because I always say learning is something that never stops. You are selling the car to me and that I was not buying it. Krishna, don't even get up from your seat when I come in for him. And that was in an orange color, an S8 in orange color. I won't forget it in my life. In 2 months' time, he came and ordered an R8 for his brother. The minute he left, my boss came and told me, Krishna, nikal gaya kya? Ha, nikal gaya, I said. We knew something has gone wrong. Asking them a very simple thing. If on a 1 to 10 scale, if you're thinking about a car was at 1 and taking delivery of the car was 10, what percentage of it would you like to take online? It's quite exciting to be on this webinar today, and a great initiative, Srikanth, I must tell you. Having been in the auto industry for over 30 plus years, it's only in the last few years that we've got somebody taking this kind of initiative, at least in India. Kudos to you and your team for having done a fantastic job bringing everybody together and giving a platform for the youngsters who are coming into the business to learn from those little steps that we took, the baby steps we took, had our own falls, learned from it, moved on, and gotten to where we are today. So kudos to you, Srikanth. Well, Srikanth, it's a very long story. I do not know if I could, compress it into the time that you have given me. But what I would like to do today is to spend as much time with those people who are interested. First of all, my dear viewers, thank you very much for signing in on a Sunday. Clearly, it shows that you are interested in hearing out somebody who has lugged it out so far in the industry. You want to learn and move on. I think kudos to you guys first for having signed up and tuned in on time, because I always say learning is something that never stops. So Srikanth, I would start.
Yes.
And wherever I'm going beyond time, you pull me back, because sometimes I may get a little nostalgic. There's so many things to talk that we won't be able to finish it off in the time you've allotted me. But let me try and compress. So going back to how did I get into the car industry? Well, honestly, it was by chance. Chance in the sense I was in Bombay working with BPL in their medical electronics division, working with cardiac care equipment and so on. And then my cousin was pretty keen on going to the Middle East. Typically every youngster those days, at least people who were based in Kerala, although I was not, I was born in Mumbai, brought up in Bangalore, Malayali by background. Typically everybody's favorite this thing was to go to the Middle East. So there comes an opportunity, and then all I know is I'm in the Middle East with one of the best companies in the automotive business across the globe, I must say. Spent 10 good years. So everything that I've learned or has come in as a foundation has been from what has come to me from that company. 1989, I find myself there. New place, new language, extremely high, moving from Bangalore to Bombay for a short while and then going into the Middle East, very high temperatures. But it was fun. And then, of course, new learning challenges, language, the culture of people, driving, which is what would take us to what we are doing, right? That was a challenge, left-hand drive, high-speed driving, unknown those days in India. But then what was exciting is every single day at work since then has been extremely exciting, challenging. And I can confidently say that no 2 days were similar. So that's so much for my background. Those days, we had to learn. The best way for us was to learn names of cars parts like the steering wheel, the wheels, and so on and so forth in Arabic. Fantastic experience. And there were very good seniors who helped us with it, learn the numerals. And there are times we even sold cars using just a calculator and, writing down the numerals in Arabic. It's been a long journey, 10 years straight away in the Middle East with South Bawan Group, which was one of the largest groups or still is. fantastic learning experience from there. I mean, I could go on and on. You talk about any single aspect of automotive sales, or you pick that, and I can give you, talk continuously about it. What I've learned from there, the kind of knowledge they imparted, the kind of training they put you through, amazing, amazing. I spent 10 years there, came back to India for 2 years, worked with Opel in Bangalore. Again, a brilliant time, because 99, 2000 was when, most of the brands were coming into India. I still remember Hyundai had come in with their first product, the Tall Boy, and the way they advertised it, and then followed by Accent, a 1.2 billion car, and so on and so forth. And a fantastic time, 2 years in India. Went back to the Middle East because got an opportunity with Audi, another big group. Spent 6 long years there. Then I continued my tryst with Audi, coming back into India when they started their operations in Chennai and Bangalore. Had them set that up to some extent. Moved on from there to a short stint in Cochin with a company that was basically a finance company that moved into the automobile business, Muthoot. Post that, spent 4.5 years with the BMW. So literally done all the brands, whether it's Audi, BMW. Probably only the brand that I haven't done so far is Mercedes-Benz. But otherwise, everything in the luxury segment. Fantastic learning experience, I must say. And every single day has been very exciting, continues to be very exciting. Have been quite exciting, and I must say, if you stick to the basics, I think everything else remains the same. Yeah, I mean, as I say, every single day was challenging because it's exciting and challenging. So if I have to pick on anything specific, very close to what we are today, then I'd like to go back to 1991, if I remember that's right. Yeah, that's when after I went back on my first holiday, the Gulf War broke out. The Saudi invasion in Kuwait, and the whole Middle East is a small region, so it had immediate impact on on everyone in the Middle East. That's a small place, so we went in there, and then nobody knew what was going to happen, and CNN was beaming it live, so you could actually see the Scuds being dropped in Iraq over television. So it's like watching a real game of Star Wars or whatever it is on TV. So it started initially that way, and then it started getting into a shock because business started coming down. Then a lot of businesses were shutting shop. People were being sent home. Of course, not from our company, but from most companies, people were going. It's as uncertain as it was today. We were, of course, very well taken care of by the company, saying that, hold on, don't worry, it's just a passing phase, and so on. But yes, there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of apprehension, because there were families there. Of course, I was a bachelor then, but there were families who were, going through a lot of turmoil. The food would be available, people were stocking up on food. And on the business front, there were companies that were not paying salaries. Things were pretty bad. But yes, waited, played the waiting game, got over. Some people, yes, went back home disappointed, heartbroken. But I think most of us in our company was taken care of. Most companies took care of their people. And I would say I take a lot of learnings from that and apply it in today's condition to make sure that, we do our best. There's only so much you can do, right? So we do our best to make sure that our people are taken care of in every little way we can. Yeah, so that's it. So I would go back to that as the most, one of the biggest challenges I faced with respect to what we're talking today. I mean, then after that, things really boomed, went off very well. So my dear little my friends, don't get disheartened. We're just passing through it. We'll talk about it maybe if Shrikant permits or a little later, but I think let me answer the question at this moment and then move on. Customers, I just love you. Again, talk about customers, I can keep talking, because to me, I still believe I'm in the kindergarten of trying to understand customer behavior, because customers are changing by the day. And if we do not change, it's going to be very challenging. So my best teachers are customers. I talk to them, whether they're my existing customers, they were my previous customers. I have some customers as old as 20 years who are still my friends. In Bangalore, I have a friend who's now become a family friend, who we met first as a customer. I mean, amazing guy. He's the chief of Toastmasters here. Very exciting person. So what I'm saying is lots of things. I mean, I must attribute or thank all my customers who have helped me gotten where I am today. And to remember a few things and to tell my colleagues here, how important it is to know your customer. I mean, this came up to this morning, just a quick one. There's a good old salesperson, an old man selling watermelons, put up a board on a store that one watermelon for $3 and 3 for $10. Okay, so a young boy walks up, buys the first watermelon, gives him $3. The man gleefully takes it. The young guy says, "I'm going to take." This guy thinks he's bloody smart, man. I'm going to take him on. He buys the second watermelon, pays another $3. Buys a third and pays another $3, and then walks away gleefully saying that I look at that old man, he doesn't know his business. But here the man says, looks at the old boy, the young boy walking across and says, well, if I don't know my customers, I shouldn't be in business. So he was saying that instead of everyone buying one watermelon, people thought it was good to buy 3, and he was selling more numbers. So what I'm trying to say is, when I say what was my learning from that today was that customers are our best teachers. And if I had to go back to a couple of customers from whom I learned or I still remember and draw lessons, I would say very interesting even today is, this was in 90, my initial days in the Middle East. I was selling the brand called Lada, Russian cars. I don't know if many of you would know it even. So I was sitting in the showroom, a guy walks in. I, in my broken Arabic, try and, talk to him, and then finally end up understanding that he's only gesticulating, he's only talking, not able to speak. And then we sit down, get to know that he can neither hear nor speak.
Okay.
And there I am sitting in front of him. I don't know the language. He doesn't hear any of it, so it doesn't matter. Both of us are on. So finally, we, a lot of actions go back and forth. And what we did was I pulled out a sheet of paper, gave it to him, and he started writing well in English. And then you won't believe, for the next hour and a half, it was question and answer session. He would ask me something, I would answer, all in writing.
All written.
And this went on into 3 pages. And I had my friends calling me over the telephone extension and saying, "Yaar, maza aa raha hai. We're having a good time. Continue this." Okay. And you won't believe, when I started doing this, and I did it with all my what do I say, intent that this man was sitting there. I didn't know. I was also new in business, so I didn't know all these things. I was just, giving him answers, at least doing the best that I could. At the end of it, he said, okay. 4 o'clock, my father would come in, and he asked me for wrote down. I gave him a business card as usual. So we, Middle East, we used to take a break between 1 and 4. 4 o'clock, I'm back in the showroom. 4:15, a senior gentleman walks in with my business card and says, "Who's this guy?" So I said, "It's me." Then he said, I still remember, I think it was Yusuf was the customer. Yusuf Al-Kindi. Yeah, I don't want to forget people, because I have noted it down somewhere, and I keep looking back every time, trying to say what he has taught me. So this gentleman comes in and says, "Look, my boy has come in here. He has liked what you have done. I'm not sure about your product," because I didn't want to talk about it at that point in time. Ladas were not too good. We were fighting against the best of Japanese cars, and the Americans and the Russians were down there. And honestly, in my heart, I knew what could possibly happen. But at the end of the day, I'm a salesperson. I need to be honest to my profession, and I did what best I can. So he said, "Look, Krishna, this guy can't even speak a word. Okay, please make sure you give him a good car. He just loved, and he has wanted me to come here only because of you.
That's
I didn't
fantastic.
understand what, right? It didn't. Okay, I thought, okay, it feels nice, young guy. He likes to hear such things. I heard it. Deliver. Then we completed the thing. I think the next day we delivered the car, and that's a story. Leave that at the moment. My learning from that, and what I would like to share with all of you who are attending this session is, anyone who walks in through the door would buy a car from you unless you did something wrong. If you did everything right and he still did not buy from you, so that's okay. It's bad luck. But if you did everything right, let me tell you, the chances of his buying a car from you are almost close to 99%. That's my learning. I've been telling that to all my colleagues. Listen, guys, when someone steps in, he is willing to spend the time with you. Give him that time. Keep everything aside. Keep your phones away. Keep all your distractions away. Give him your time, and believe me, the deal will be with you. Do it. Keep doing it. And if you're not able to get the results you're expecting, please call up Srikanth and tell him that you want to shout at me. Pick up my number. Give me a good hearing. I guarantee you that'll happen. That's one lesson. Another lesson, interesting quotes. Srikanth, do I have time to explain?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Is again in the Middle East. That time, of course, I was selling an American brand, moved from Lada to Ford. I had an American customer, a lady who had moved in from America to the Middle East, to the University of Al Ain in Abu Dhabi. So she came in and I helped her get a license. Typical prospecting all of us do, right? Go and look for people, get them, and then this was a habit that we would go help them convert their license and all that. All those work just to make sure you get a deal. She agreed. She's buying a green Explorer. Those days, I think it was called the Eddie Bar, after the famous Eddie Bar guy. So deal done. Agreed. She said she's coming to buy the car from me, and I ordered the car from our headquarters, displayed the car. This lady, Linda Beale, yes. I don't want to forget people who have taught me. They are my best teachers, my gurus, as I would call them. So she was very sure she's picking up the car from me, and we spoke to the finance company and all that. Of course, I had not issued a pro forma, but she said she would come in and complete the deal. And then for about 2 weeks, I had absolutely no contact with her. No matter I tried to reach her. Those days we had what we call the pagers. I don't know if you're aware. Some of you may be aware. You had pagers. Yeah, very few people would be aware. It was half the size of your mobile phone, but you could only have a one-way communication. Pagers. You send them text messages. She wouldn't respond. And then the next weekend, she drives in a brand new green color Ford Explorer that I had actually ordered for her in a similar car. I was shocked. I asked her, whose car is this? She said, it's mine. I said, but here's the car that you ordered, and I've brought it here from my head office. Then she said, Krishna, let me sit down and I want to tell you something. And then she told me, look, whenever I thought of this, I realized that you are selling the car to me and that I was not buying it. I didn't understand at that time. I was, of course, angry because I'd lost a sale, and typically nobody would want to miss out on that. But she said, sorry, I got a feeling that I was not making a decision, and it was you who pushed me into it. Let's put that aside. My learning from that, if I look back today, was never hard sell, never push your customer into a corner. Give all the information. And this is what I link to as the consultative selling process, where you want the consumer to make the choice. So much so that I started even telling people after that, sir, I'm here telling you everything so that you could make an informed choice. So that I am bailing myself out of the situation, that I'm not pushing, I'm giving all the information so they could make an informed choice. Very, very important for all of us, especially even in today's context, where the customer learns so much about the product. The minute you try to do a hard sell, it's gone. Exactly, and I'm sure many of you would understand, Srikanth. I'm sure you and all the others who are listening would understand that your customers may have come back and told you. If you've got into a good conversation with them, especially people, the deals you've lost, and ask them what went wrong if you want to improve, they will tell you, look, they may not be so candid in words like an American or any European would tell you upfront, but they would tell you that they were being forced sort of into buying. So let that not happen. Be a very good salesperson. Do everything you can. Create that. What do I say? I wouldn't say pressure. Create the circumstances or the thing in which the consumer can make a decision, and let them be proud of that decision. I would say dil mange more. There's never a good day in sales. Okay, sales have always been, what do I say? It's like yesterday was history. Nobody remembers you for what you did until yesterday. Tomorrow is a mystery. So the only day left is today. Okay, so, well, I would want to put this in context because I believe that we have more of budding sales managers, top-notch sales guys. I would call them top-notch because if you're not top-notch, you would not have been on today's show because you want to get better. Okay, which is why I say you guys are really top-notch guys. So what I would want to say is I want to tell you something that relates to more from a selling experience rather than from a profitability perspective or a management perspective. I would keep it basically to selling because that's something I love to do. And if somebody would put me on a shop floor and say do a walk around, I'd still like to do a walk around because I believe that's the best way to talk about the product. A couple of things that I would want to say or think of saying are how important patience is in our business from a salesperson's point of view. I know we are all running against targets. We have month-end closures. We know that we have to get a booking today. We need to deliver that car. But please understand, the customer is not bothered. When he walks in through the door, he believes that he has come to a place where he should be able to get complete attention. And if he does not get that, he feels lost out on it. And in today's context, it's even worse. But let me go back to my, what do I say, my days where I learned a lot of things. Yes, Middle East, I told you I was selling Fords. Mustang was a very popular car, still is, of course. So we had a particular place in the showroom to park the Mustang, and I was very sure that every week I had to rotate those cars, get in a different color from my head office. If I did not sell it, I would still return it, get another color. Yeah, today's managers won't allow it because they'll say it's a cost of moving vehicles. Okay, I don't want to talk about that now, but then those days we were doing it. So there used to be this, I think it was a French gentleman who used to walk into the showroom on every Thursday. Thursday were the weekends there. He would come in a Saab 90 or 9000, I don't remember. And that's a car which we wouldn't want to trade in for anything in the world. Okay. So he came, initially we were talking and okay, let's move on. This used to happen and continue for a very long time. And then he would even walk in on Thursday and say, Krishna, don't even get up from your seat when I come in. I'm not buying now. I'm not buying now. Okay. And if you have an idea that I'm buying now, let me tell you, I don't have money. He was very clear about it. And this went on for a very long time. And he said, one day I will have a Mustang. But I don't know when that will happen. Okay. And he would come in the intensity with which he would look at the car. Okay, those days you didn't have those mobile phones which had, the kind of cameras today. So probably he would have photographed himself 100 times with different colors. But he would literally stand and look at different angles and say which color would look good and so on. Now this was over, and every time he used to come, I used to just spend time with him. I moved out of that location to another location. I forgot, not that you were carrying mobile phones with memory that you could call back. So these are learnings. I mean, we should be doing it. Next time I'd start doing that. This person came to the showroom, bought a Ford Mustang, and before he took delivery of that car, he told my colleague there, please call up Krishna. I want to speak to him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my memory doesn't go back. I'm not able to remember his name. It was a difficult name to remember. And Somehow I couldn't write it down. That day I didn't feel it was important, but now I believe it's very important. I should have had his name. Anyway, guys, when you learn something from someone, please put it down on a piece of paper so you can remember. Don't trust your memory for that. Okay. So he called me and said, Krishna, I would be doing a disservice to myself if I didn't call you and thank you for all that you did at that point in time. And I really didn't know what I did. I just did what I was so-called, as we say, paid to do, right? But then I thought, no, because every time he came, he knew that I was spending time for him. So guys, it's important when you see someone, even if you've invested one moment of maybe 5 or 10 minutes, then do not forget, talk to them. Somewhere along the line, he has that spark burning in him that one day I want to own this car. Otherwise, he would not have walked into the showroom. This is something we don't do. And I mean, Shrikant, you do mystery shopping, right? You walk into showrooms, you know what kind of looks you get. First thing is your pocket is looked at. Is there a checkbook popping out? Okay.
Exactly.
Otherwise, credit cards. Okay, so leave it. So guys, learning is if someone walks in, please remember he will buy. He will buy. He is in the market to buy, whether he buys from you or he buys from someone else. There's a decision you can influence. Now this, again, a similar instance. Why I would like to say this, guys, is I tell all my boys, if you do not understand, if I have learned something, I want to share it with you. Helps you, fantastic. Does not help you, just say a Sunday wasted. Okay, don't worry. What I would like to say is, here's a customer who walks into the showroom. This was when I was in Audi at Muscat. I was a sales manager then, had a team of 4 Omani sales guys. This was an Omani himself. And, sitting in my cabin, I could watch the body language of my sales guy. That there was that, I mean, some of you guys understand, right? Ye to kharidne wala nahi hai. This guy is not going to buy. Okay. And he has come here, he's asking, he's a smart guy, he thinks he's a smart guy, he's asking those smart questions, he's not going to buy. And honestly, the guy would come in, if he sees a black, I mean, I still remember it's an A4 Cabrio with black body, red roof. He would say, oh, if it was a red car with black roof, it would have been nice. And then this guy walks into my cabin and says, Krishna, next time I walk into the showroom, please allow me to come in here. I don't want to see any of your sales guys. I said, what happened? He said, no, don't think I'm a dumb guy. Okay, I wanted to pass this message to you that if you're the manager, you need to make sure these guys respect people. I was a little upset. I didn't know what hit me. I noted his name and number, of course, and then I said, I'll stay in touch with you. He said, I will come. I'll come into your office only whenever I come in. I will not talk to any of these guys. And then one day I get an email, there's a Second Cup store opening, and I see this guy's name at the bottom. Okay, so I take a bouquet, go to him because I thought that's the time to patch up and go meet him. He says, thanks for coming. I was on my first assignment, setting up this venture of mine. My next thing is to come to you and buy a car. I have to buy a car, and I know what I want to buy. I want an Audi. I have not decided on which one it is. He came in a little later. We customized a car for him, and that was in an orange color, an S8 in orange color. I won't forget it in my life, okay? Because that was the best thing for me to put on road, because so many people would see it. Okay, so it took me almost a year and a half to conclude the first deal with him. He was a tough nut to crack. Good guy, a lot of questions, and very knowledgeable guy because he had stayed, I think, in somewhere in Europe, did his studies there. Owner of Second Cup, so you can imagine he was the franchisee owner in Oman. Quite well-to-do guy. His S8 he ordered, and you won't believe the car came in. He was pretty happy. In 2 months' time, he came and ordered an R8 for his brother.
Oh my
so
God.
there, in 2 years, I've sold 2 cars flat and 2 luxury cars, high-end, super G gross margins on them. What I want to tell you, guys who are learning, who are coming up, is do not look at time spent with the prospect as a time in vain. I would want to use this phrase, हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, time pass है. There are no time passes. There are better places to pass time than an automobile showroom or with an automobile sales guy. So please get that right, guys. I'm not I'm not, what do you call, pulling down on anybody or trying to, say that you shouldn't. Never do that. Spend time, talk to them, put in everything you can. And believe me, you will move on. You will get that business. Something that I like to recall or remember is, yeah, I would say this also had a financial impact on the business. Okay, this was a used car deal that went wrong. So again, those early days in the Middle East, um, what happened was I was selling Ladas, as I told you. I had a customer who walked in with a relatively new Toyota Hilux. Hilux is a pickup truck. He came in and we started getting to talk. Um, and then at some point, he said he wants to, upgrade his car. Those days, we were not. I wouldn't say we were lucky enough to have probably trainers like Srikanth who would do a consultative sales process training. That was not there. We were still doing the hard sell. Okay. So he wanted, we concluded a deal almost, and then he brought out his used car registration card and said, I want to exchange this car. And in all excitement, in the Middle East, the thing was you could complete a deal, put a trade plate on the car, and deliver the car if the car was ready in the showroom. That's the speed at which you could effect deliveries.
Okay.
So we had an in-house installment credit team. Took the papers there, completed everything. So it was already getting late. The thing started about 9:30 and it went on till about 1:30, 2 o'clock lunchtime. We were rushing into it. Deal concluded. Took his vehicle, got the registration card, got the documents signed for the transfer. He left. The minute he left, my boss came and told me, Krishna, nikal gaya kya? Haan, nikal gaya, I said. We knew something has gone wrong. What had actually happened was we had not factored in the foreclosure amount in the whole deal. Okay, now what was the lesson? Lesson was one. What changed my view? My view was from a salesperson's point of view, never rush into a deal. Take your time. Remember, the thing, long sale, short close. I think, Srikanth, that's a phrase you guys use, right?
Yeah.
Long sale, short close. Take your time to do the deal. Let the close be small. Don't rush into it. Yeah, so the learning is never rush into a deal. Take your time. The reason was, you asked me what would have changed my view. At that point, I had even decided to quit the industry. For a certain reason, there was a big amount of money. It got into a legal issue because the consumer understood that we have goofed up. So it went into the consumer court. At the consumer court, I had to say that, things went a little too fast. And I had to agree that it was a goof up on my side. But the best part was, the learning from that is, if you're upfront honest, whether it's your customer, whether it's your whoever you're dealing with, and agree that yes, you goofed up, you accept certain facts, you can move on in life. So my view is, don't try to stick on to a position you believe is safe. If you did something wrong, accept it. And especially as a customer, they tend to accept it. Something went wrong. I mean, typically what happens is, we all are in business. Certain things are outside of our control, especially salespeople. You take a booking, you're not able to deliver a car on time. Right?
Exactly.
Typical excuses, sir, gaadi aane wala hai. Gaadi aa gaya, yard mein hai. First day you'll say that, next day you will try and escape. You'll tell your colleague, yeah, you handle him. He's coming in at 4 o'clock. I'm going to be out of the showroom. You manage. Never get into that. Why I say that this changed my views, when I started doing this and being upfront, honest with people, I realized that this is a lot better place to be in. Because we are in people business. We are not just in car business. You're talking with different people. And every day when you talk to different people, understand that it's a man-to-man, one-to-one relationship. And you need to build. You need to invest time and build on it. I think, Shrikant, that's been a very important uh, incident that changed my view on this business. It's not just a transactional. Today, you all call it, yeah, right? It shouldn't be a transactional. It should be what you call relationship, or what do I say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
fact,
So, yeah.
I've also seen this that a lot of people, especially the new ones, the freshers who come in, they have come and many times I've been asked these questions. Sir, I'm new to sales job and I've been told by my seniors that hook or crook, you just need to sell your car, which is a complete no.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yes, hook or crook, that's the bottom line. But the hook and the crooks are different things. You need to decide, because it's you that matters.
Exactly.
You have to invest time in understanding how to do the business, how that hook and crook will be. Yes, he is interested in the results, and he's rightly so. Results matter. But the process, the way you get there, and that's where people are there to help you. Sessions like these are there to help each one of you understand what are the learnings. What I would tell my boys is, if there's something I have learned the hard way and I'm able to share with you, if you could learn from it, move on. And I must tell you this important lesson. When we all kids, we all aspired to grow up and go to a certain institution, study this, study that. IIM was a very favorite place of mine. I had always wanted to go there and study, and for whatever reasons, at that point in time, didn't happen. But then, yes, 20 years into the business, I went there and spent time staying there as a student. My question to the professor there was, look, there are, you get the best of guys from IITs and the best, institutions, first rankers and so on, guys who are, I would say, who are real cats, who pass cat in style. Okay. How is it that, what are you actually doing to get them out, come into the business and helping them move up in life and do a fantastic job? So she said, Krishna, look, we are very clear. We get the best of brains. We put them through a series of case studies. We help them understand this. Of course, the basics of business. Then we teach them a lot of case studies are something we spend a lot of time on, so that when they go back into the business and they are confronted with a situation like this, they're able to pick on, oh yeah, that was a study I did, and that's something worked for someone. So if it worked for someone, it should work for me. So this thing is, when people, when you hear either a trainer or a coach or what do you call your managers telling you something, listen to it intently. It's very important, because there is something always there for you. It depends on you. If you're willing to accept that, take that, learn from it, great. Otherwise, you'll have to learn it the hard way. So be a patient listener, be a good student for life. Yeah, Shrikant.
Yes, learning never stops at whatever age it is.
Absolutely.
Great. So, in fact, that was something really inspiring and great to know your life experience in the auto industry. In fact,
Thank
in
you.
present situation today, we are facing a big challenge, all of us. The way the auto industry has come down, of course, we were in a negative mode for past a year because of various reasons like the BS6 norms coming in and all that. And on top of that, when we had this COVID pandemic striking us, a lot of us have lost our balance and, in fact, are trying to move up back. Now, what do you
True.
feel? How should we take charge of the situation today?
Yeah, good question. Last 100 days, I've been cracking my head only on this. You saw I've lost all my hair, Shrikant. Okay. Guys, don't. First thing I would want to tell all of you, I reassure this to myself every day. I look at the mirror and say, look, this is going to change. It's a passing phase. And the good thing is, the only constant in life is change, right?
Exactly.
So change will happen. Tomorrow will get better. Day after tomorrow will be better than tomorrow, and so on. Don't lose heart. Stay strong. And this is the time to go back to the drawing board. Redraw your strategy. When I say redraw your strategy, I would say redraw your strategy as an individual, as a team, as an organization, there are a lot of things outside your control. Don't wait for those things to change immediately. What are within your control? I mean, I don't want to dwell more in this, but I guess you understand what are within your control, what's outside. Always remember, if you're in a situation, okay, if you're in a situation, draw two circles. The first one, which tells you this is the entire ecosystem that you live in. And within that, there is a smaller circle. And that's your little circle. That's your circle of influence. You can only do so much. You cannot do things outside your control. So now go back and do what's within your control. Figure out. If you ask me, give me an answer to that question today, I don't have an answer. I am doing it myself. I'm trying to do that for me personally, for my team, my organization, and also for the industry. Okay, so I talk to a lot of friends, figure out what's happening. Everybody is going through this. I must tell you, in the last 3 decades that I've been in the industry, never have faced anything like this. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a CEO in the Middle East with a large automotive group. He was telling me, Krishna, it's at times it looks good that it's come hit us so late in our careers. I said it's good because we have experienced nearly everything in life. If we had passed our career without experiencing this, probably that would be a point of regret for me, that I didn't have a challenge of this magnitude to face and come over. So I'm glad that here I'm presented with a situation that I will have to fight, figure out personally, professionally, and for the business. What I understand is what worked until yesterday may not work for tomorrow. Very clearly, if I say that, oh yeah, I have 30 years of experience, I know, yaar, pata hai kya karna hai, forget it, that won't happen. Why would I say that won't happen? Is because I said the situation outside or the external environment is completely changing. And we must understand that, many of us who have been in the business for long would know how our consumer or customer has changed in the last so many years, right? Quickly going back, let's say when we started out our career, someone come into the showroom and you explain the features of the car and you say this is this, and so on. The gauge of the metal used is so much. Your 0 to 100 is so much. Your gear ratios are so much. They would figure out what is it, and then they would look at you as if you're a great Gyani telling him so much of the car. Today he doesn't need anything. He knows everything. So it's you who has to change. So you redefine. You figure out what it is. Then for my managers or team leaders, or I would say, keep your flock together. Tough times. Everybody is going through a lot of emotional, psychological, and so on and so forth. All these kind of trials and tribulations you're being faced with, right? In fact, yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine who's a doctor, and he was telling me this epidemic he's seeing as a psychosomatic problem. A lot of people are having psychological issues. Okay? Because there is fear. You don't know what's going to be hitting you. You don't know the uncertainty. You don't know what's going to be happening. So it actually impacts. I'll tell you, there was a case, some of you may know, we have businesses in different parts of Kerala. And Kottayam is a district which was declared the first green zone in Kerala. After the onset of the pandemic. And then was the first green zone. And that's where we opened our first facilities. Okay. And in about 24 hours time, we were asked to shut shop. Because within 24 hours, the first case propped up again. And that time, it happened in a containment zone, which was about 2 kilometers outside of one of our dealerships. So I happened to call a few guys there. Talking to them, I could hear the apprehension in their voices. Guys who were talking so confidently until yesterday, suddenly they were, toned down. Then I had to reassure them, look, don't worry. So unless this is in your backyard, when it's actually in your backyard, you start really feeling. So talk to your team, tell your friends, look, it's nothing, there's nothing, don't worry. We will overcome it together. So stay together. Get everybody, get them to remain confident. Yes, all those kinds of things will happen. Job losses will happen, but that's not the end of life. Salaries will drop. That's not the end of life, right? What's important? As PM says, jaan hai to jahan hai, right? So keep life. That's very important. Stay strong. Very important that you're emotionally strong at this point in time so that you are not impacted by this. You, when I say it's not just you individually, you, your colleagues, their families, their friends, because it has a cascading effect on every single person. Last but not the least, when you look at the business, I would tell all of you, look at every single opportunity line. Okay, as business managers, you would know that car sales is not just about selling cars and making money out of it. You have multiple avenues of revenue generation. You need to start working on all of that with a lot of intent. And there's a huge opportunity sitting at each one of them. And when you start working, align your team, talk to your teams, tell them, guys, here it is. This is an opportunity. Each of us will have to work that much harder. Each of us will have to figure out that extra way of, bringing in revenue. Believe me, the teams will respond in a fantastic manner. Take them into confidence. They are the ones. You talk to your leaders talk to the next level, they talk to the next level, and so on. I'm not asking each of you to personally talk to every single person. But yes, it has to flow down. The message has to flow down that we will overcome it. We will stay together. Doesn't matter. There will be tough times. We will overcome it. So I would say this is how, as a leader, you can take charge of the situation. Again, if you ask me, is it foolproof? Are you sure? I'm also learning. I would say, because we have never been confronted with this, but give it your best shot. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of learnings. Take every day as it comes and move on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Shrikant, I think I've nearly touched upon everything that you would probably want me to do.
Yes, in fact,
If there's
that's
anything I've missed,
exactly
let me know.
why AR Pro also has come up with this RevUp initiative, because all of us are meeting this challenge for the first time in our life, but it's our
Absolutely.
outlook which has to be different. Now, each one of us, when we start sharing our own outlooks together, we can actually fight it out.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say you should learn from each one and hold our hands together. Very tough times. I've been talking to a lot of people inside the auto industry, outside auto industry, consumers, customers, trying to figure out, because it's difficult. When you say redraw the strategy is a very simple thing to say, redraw your strategy. You need to know how to start. You need to figure out what are those little building blocks. So, yeah, good. I think a very good initiative, and I'm sure a lot of people will be happy with what you have done. At least I'm very glad that you started this. Honestly, I'm not a very avid, contributor on your WhatsApp groups. I do not put anything, but I consume most of it. I like to be a consumer there rather than a contributor.
No, but it's a great compliment to hear from you. In fact, let us go further. In fact, one of the major challenges that we are facing is, of course, a lot of people have lost jobs in the auto industry. In fact, we at AR Pro are also trying to handhold people. We have come up with a new initiative which we are launching next week, wherein we are going to handhold 100 people as an initial pilot. We are handholding them to, come to a sustainable position either by getting a job or finding an alternative. So we are handholding them. But then I would like to understand from you, what is your strategy? What do you think these people who have lost jobs should adapt? We cannot cover 100% people in the world, but whatever we can do is by limited numbers. But this message, we want to give it out to the world. What could be the strategy they can use to actually bounce back and get back to the track in life?
Yeah, very challenging question because, as I said, we are all. I'm in the same boat as you are, or anybody else is, in terms of where we are heading. But what I've done is I've jotted out a few points as to what I must be doing, and end of the day, you need to move somewhere. What I say is, set up set up a target always and go after it. If you have no target, you don't go anywhere. So my take on how this industry is going to behave, or how it's going to come back to track. First thing I want to tell everybody is, be rest assured, guys, it's going to bounce back. It's not that we are facing a bleak future and it's all over. And I don't buy those doomsday sayers stories. Okay, we are in for the good times ahead, and I've been hearing this for last year and a half, 2 years. Everybody talking about. I mean, most of your friends or relatives will know you're in the auto industry. So you meet them at a party, you meet them at a dinner. Oh, Krishna, how is the auto industry doing? People start talking as if you are at the end of the road and things like that. So forget about it. Forget about it. We are there. This industry will stay put. It's going to stay strong. It's just a question of time. These are minor pinpricks. Good time for us to get back and start redrawing our strategy. And when I say redrawing, does not mean you have to go back all over again. But look at those little fine areas. Public memory is very short. If you're talking about COVID, people will just forget about it. They will come out into the market, let go their pent-up feelings. Okay. There would be, in fact, yesterday I got a call from one of my friends who said his brother wants to buy a car. Very nice to hear. And what happened was, he has actually booked a car. I sent it across to one of my salesmen. We've closed the deal. So guys, believe me, things will get better. Do not start panicking at this moment. Yes, there will be those challenges. Job losses will happen. Salary cuts will happen. These are all facts of life, because the business is moving in the reverse gear a bit. But don't worry. It'll take one step forward at a faster pace. So be prepared for it. If you're prepared, then you're able to take this on. And I'll tell you, if Shrikant allows me time, then I would be able to tell you what are the small little things that you can do.
Please go ahead.
Initially, look, I would like to break the going forward into two phases, Shrikant.
Okay.
In fact, when the lockdown started, the first thing I did was I called up all my sales managers and asked them, guys, start drawing up what could be the post-COVID short-term thing, and post-COVID long-term. Now, when I say short-term and long-term, I would say short-term is anything between today and the next 3 years, and long-term is 3 years and beyond. Now, if you look at short-term, when I say today and 3 years, yes, again, break it down. I would break it down into two areas. One is the consumer psyche, or the customer mindset. And the other one I would think is what would be the demand-supply scenario. So if you look at consumers, immediately what's going to happen is everyone's going to behave like you and me. They're not going to run out into the showrooms. They're going to go online. Most of us have been consuming a lot of online stuff lately, right? I'm sure all of you would have exhausted your whatever Amazon Prime accounts or Netflix accounts and whatever. I mean, people are consuming data, and there is a lot of research. Just Google it, you will get it. A lot of research that says that a significant amount of data consumption has happened in the lockdown days. So what happens is consumers will be going online. Just give me a moment. I will have to just one second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think battery low on the phone. Sometimes technology, unless you learn really fast, technology moves. Everything, I didn't switch on the power. Okay, so people will move online. Yeah, people would move online for most of their research and so on. I'm talking at large. Then I'll try and break it down further, Shrikant, if you permit me in terms of time. You need to, because this is a favorite topic of mine.
Yeah, sure.
I can go on and on. So if you're able to, if you think we're running over time, give me time, so I'll be able to then conclude. Then Of course, we should also look at what prompts purchases. We have been hearing a lot of things, such as people would want to get back into private transport rather than public transport. A lot of reading about it. So probably that people there would be a pent up demand for cars. Certainly, credit availability will be a question mark, and I'm sure most of you whose dealerships have opened up would have started finding that, because when there are job losses, when there are salary reductions, uh, banks and NBFCs and everybody would start looking at redrawing their credit policies. They would want to make sure that they would only be lending out to not so stressed industries. So this would be one part of a consumer um, or the prospect's mindset and his immediate this thing. The other thing I would look at is from a demand supply position. Uh, Supplies could be impaired. One for probably because one manufacturing may get delayed a bit because supply of spares, supplies of you know uh, yeah, spares largely, and movement of vehicles, logistics. Could be truck drivers have gone home, and so on and so forth. So these could be, you need to factor these things in. Um, then of course your own stock positions are also a question mark, because if I say that uh, your inventory funding lines may look a little constricted, so you would have to work with a lower stock of vehicles. So you need to be very smart. You need to learn from to sell from stock. Very important thing. You would also be hearing a lot of prospects deferring their decision for whatever reasons. Okay, so demand could be moving either ways, and I would still say there'll be a large this thing of a need-based buying. So things would not be what do I say? It won't be as bad as what is being predicted. But please, when you drop your strategy, keep that in mind. It could go either way. But I'm still believing, and from the first indications that are coming in from various markets, it shows that things are pretty good. When I say various markets, not just markets we are within, outside of the country where we have seen that this COVID has created problems, all those markets are bouncing back. So I'm sure we would also be like that. And as eternal optimists, I would always say, be prepared for the best. Yes, you are also ready to face the the worst if it comes on, but at least be prepared, and things are looking good, is what I would say.
Exactly.
Another area that I'm
Hmm.
seeing a fantastic opportunity is in the used cars.
Okay.
See, used cars somehow has not been pursued very effectively by most dealerships for whatever reasons. Okay, manufacturers are doing their bit in trying to push and help, because that's where the money is sitting in. So used cars, organized used car industry has grown, I'm told, by almost grown from 10% to 18% in the last decade. So a significant movement has happened within the used car ecosystem. Look at it very strongly. That's where a lot of money is available, and you guys as salespeople or frontline salespeople, if there are many of you on, look at it as a revenue opportunity for your dealership. Okay, that's very important. Get that will help you close out deals fast. Um, Shrikant, are we short on time? How are we heading?
Yeah, we're coming to, we've got about 5 more minutes before we could take questions from people. So, team, we
Okay.
would be open for questions in some time. So, get your questions in the comments. You can type out your questions in the comments, and we could have Pro Krishna Kumar to answer them. So, meanwhile, to our last question, last part to you, Pro Krishna Kumar. What is your message to the present generation of team in the auto industry?
Well, I think, I mean, I had to just conclude about the auto industry that we were talking before so sorry, I had to just understand your timing. And then, guys, short term, this long term will continue with what we were talking about, EVs, mobility as a paid solution, all these things will happen. So, which is why I said very exciting times ahead. Don't worry, Don't lose heart. Put in a lot of effort. Learn. We're getting into very, very good times going ahead. So it's not that it's all, sad and gloomy way forward for the auto industry. We will get back on track. You do your part. Put in that much more efforts to make sure, uh, you tide over this short, what do I say, transformation time. Now, Shrikant, question. What is
Yeah.
the message to the team?
Yes, message to the team.
Well, guys, very difficult because I think all along I've been talking, and some of you may have already felt that it's been too long drawn, this thing. But yeah, what I would like to say is, I think a lot of people are doing this kind of a thing. If we have treaded a certain path, and that's helped us, the youngsters, if we are able to see, because unfortunately, in our industry, we don't have a structured um, sales process, not sales process, training program or education program to bring in. You could be a computer specialist, you could be RJ, for instance, but do you have anything to be a car salesperson? No. So I think people like Shrikant, people like the trainers, all these people, and people like us who are willing to help are the ones who are going to be able to help you, help the rookie guys getting into the business. And believe me, it's a fantastic business to be in. My message to the team is, guys, there's no exciting business. Exciting, I wouldn't call it a job. Okay, job is something you do for getting paid, but this is something that you must take to heart. You must enjoy it. So you can get to drive the best cars in the world. You could go on to exotic places on holidays. I'm sure many of you would be going, have gone already, driven cars in different places. All of us have done it. My message right now, yes, we are at a very, very challenging time. First thing is redefine yourself. Ask yourself, what do you want to do? Okay, nobody can give you an answer to this. You will have to find the answer. And when you start and introspecting, you will get the answers. And then, of course, talk to your peers, talk to your mentors, ask them. They're up senior people in the business. Talk to them, ask them that this is what I want to do. How do I get there? But unless you start defining where you want to be, you cannot ask for help. And don't be ashamed of asking. An important thing I want to tell everyone who's listening to this, and I'm also going to be talking to my teams, and become a valued person in the business. How do you become a valued person? I'm sure most of you play cricket, right? Taking a little away from business. Otherwise, I'll only be talking about car and car sales. I can go on, but let me just
Of course, cricket
divert your
is
attention
one
for a
favorite
moment
game to all
to
of us.
cricket. Yeah, now that since IPL is not there, at least talking about it, there is some excitement. Okay, so uh, you know the stars are those pinch hitters who can come in hammer and tongs from ball one. They can go hammer and tongs and start scoring. Okay, everybody loves them, and they are bought at the highest prices in auction. Right? They're the first ones to be picked up. Yes,
Yes,
if
yes.
you're a sales guy who's doing 10, 12 cars a month, you are that guy there, right? Or even 8 cars a month after month. Forget about which brand. Let's not talk about it. If you're in the top 10%, you're there already. So get better at what you're doing. Okay, that's one. But I'm talking about the larger part of the 80% of the population, which is, people like you and me, guys who are become more valued. When I say become more valued, now look at this. Here's a guy who doesn't score 50s by every time he goes down to bat, but every time he goes in 20 balls, he gets 28 runs, 30 balls, 35 runs. Then he's a fantastic fielder on the ground. He saves 10, 15 runs. He can also chip in, come in and bowl his 3, 4 overs for very few runs, but get 2, 3 wickets. Now look at it. Suddenly, he has become a very valuable player because he's scoring runs, he's saving runs, he's also taking wickets, right? But he's not the so-called star. This is the valuable player I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, if you're able to sell 4, 5 cars, good enough. Sell 4, 5 cars. Sell finance on all those 5 cars. Sell insurance on all those 5 cars. Sell accessories worth a good amount on all those 5 cars. Sell every single thing else you can sell on that. The customer has a used car, buy his car, give it to the used car department, let him make money. Now look at it. Suddenly, you are building valuable deals. You're not just doing a deal, you're building a valuable deal. That is the most important thing I would say you would have to look at today, because then you become valuable to the organization. Yes, numbers have come down, but what you're contributing in terms of value to the organization, which means revenue generation, you're doing a fantastic job. Look at it. It needs a bit of time. It needs a lot of application, but believe me, it's possible. The other thing is what Shrikant said, learning is something that's, I would say, has to happen continually. Continually is something different from continuously. Continually, you need to do this every single day. Learn, learn, learn. If you look at what Stephen Covey says, sharpen your saw. I think all of us read it. I'm not going to, otherwise, please read it. What is sharpening your saw? Go back. Go back. You had so many days. You may not have done a presentation. Do a presentation at home. Imagine there's somebody online. Talk to your friends. Keep redefining. Keep learning. Very, very important. Continuing with the learning, my suggestion is learn faster than your prospect. Believe me, prospects are learning faster. There was a research, I do not remember where it was, but it was on the digital medium, okay, wherein people were saying out of the 26 touch points that are available for a prospect before he actually buys a car, 21 have now gone digital. Within that, there was a thing which said that most prospects do not want to have a chat with consultants. They do not want to have an online chat. My reading to that is, if I'm not adding value to the conversation, would you want to have a conversation with me?
Of course, today, because most of the information is available online.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have actually gone ahead, read online, and then only come back to us. So unless we add some value to it, they don't value us, in fact. Isn't it?
Absolutely. So for me, that line, when I saw, pained me, because if someone doesn't want to talk to me or doesn't want to have a chat with me, I'm not adding value to him. So, which is why I said redefine yourself. How are you going to be adding value to him?
True.
That's a question you have to ask. And believe me, it's not an answer which I can give. Ask yourself that question. You will find answers. You will find answers to it. And it's very important to get that. Last thing, I said, learn faster than your prospect. Last thing I want to say is, do not be tech averse. When I say tech averse, is if there's a new thing, learn it fast, because people are gobbling it up. Your customers are learning it fast. New methods of staying in touch with prospects, new methods of engaging with consumers. Maybe he doesn't want to chat with you, send him testimonial videos, testimonial, third-party reading material. He doesn't want to stay in touch with you, okay? You will go gaga about your product. But if you have got something, send it to him. It's non-intrusive. He will check it at the time he wants. So you need to be, first thing when I say tech averse, learn it, accept it. So much, Shrikant. I think I can go on and on. As I told you, I don't want to be doing that.
No, that is fantastic.
It's a fantastic opportunity, guys, to talk to you. If I've been able to make even a small impression on people listening, I've given it back to the business what I've got. I've really enjoyed everything I've got from the business, and I'm enjoying it. I look forward to contributing it going forward too. I'm just loving the way the business is evolving, and we need to stay tuned, and you'll enjoy it. Yeah, Shrikant, I think so much. If I've left out something, you may want to ask.
No, thanks a lot. In fact,
I'm not sure if I can answer all the questions, but let me try and see. Let me make an attempt. Otherwise, I will ask for strategic timeout where I can think about it and then come back to you, through you, reach out to people. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. No, in fact, there was something really important to understand, that yes, value building is something very important today. how as a person build my value in the organization will ensure that I stay in the organization and grow in the organization as well. Isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks a lot for those insights. In fact, now we have a lot of questions. In fact, I don't know how many of them can be answered now, but we will try and
Oh,
do
there are
our
a lot of
best.
questions?
A lot of questions coming up, but we will maybe answer select
Nice.
few today.
I think guys are going
And
to.
so I'll just
Yeah.
come up with the questions. Just hold on. Okay, so let
Sure.
me start off with. So, team, I guess all of you allowed it also. This session was something really insightful from Pro Krishna Kumar. In fact, let us just take up quick questions from some of you. Already, we have a lot of questions coming up. So, please don't mind if I'm missing something. You could just retype it again. So, there is a question from Mihir Pipalia. He says, what is the important factor of digitization for aftermarket? Aftermarket of vehicle. Okay, so that is after sales. So how?
That doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah, Mihir, interesting question, and thanks for having brought it up because I haven't spoken anything on aftermarket or the after sales. Now, after sales, aftermarket, if I understand, if you may quickly correct, referring to the secondary market of spare parts, is that the one, or are you referring to after sales? I'll try and quickly answer both questions. Shrikant, if you're okay with that, I'll quickly take both, split it into two parts. After sales, yes, consumers are wary of bringing the car to the workshop, so you could possibly keep them informed on what are those things that you're doing to make sure that the cars are safe while it's in the workshop, that they are safe when they come to the workshop, and you could tell them how they could transact with you without actually coming into physical contact with you. There are multiple ways to do it, and many manufacturers have already started their programs. So I think that's one part. The second part is if you're talking about aftermarket, the used car business, the parts business or the service business, you need to take technology to those, the level 2 players. Basically, when I say level 2 is people who are not the dealers, who are picking up parts from you. I don't know if that's the question Mihir wanted me to answer, but yes, they could also use technology in buying. There are catalogs available, ways of transmitting prices. I mean, simple thing is, if he's not a high-tech guy, he can even take a picture, send it across over WhatsApp, and you can understand what product we're talking about, reconfirm with him over a call, and then send it across to him.
So
yeah, Shrikant, if I've answered that, otherwise
videos and digital modes of transmission of data like pictures, videos.
Exactly.
So these are things that can actually affect
yes. Yeah.
this process.
Yes. Shrikant, if he wants a more specific answer, he can send you the questions on an email, and then probably we'll try and address it.
We'll do that.
Given the paucity of time.
Yes, I do understand. So we'll go to next question from Girish P. Patan Shetty. How do you look at the viability of dealerships with the current infrastructure, and will service be able to contribute anything to the kitty?
Oh, huge subject. Dealer viability, the buzzword with everybody. Girish, I don't know where you are, but I believe you are somewhere in Karnataka, going by your name. Anyway, that's besides the point. But very interesting subject. Service is the mainstay of any dealership, and you need to first look at what your what do you call service absorption ratios are. Once you have got that figure, you need to see how is it measuring with the industry standard in your market specifically, and with the brand you're representing, because it also has an impact on. It's a function of the number of vehicles available in the market, what they call as UIOs. Yes, service can do it because service is the least impacted in today's scheme of things. Because if a consumer has a car, he will service it. But yes, he will only bring it in for certain jobs. He may not bring it for everything. But you could look at people who have not come in, call them back to the business. There are areas that you could look at, helping him, get the cars properly readied for today's situation in terms of, sanitizing it and fumigation work and so on and so forth. Yes, the hygiene part can be taken care of. You can bring it in every other week because obviously we're all concerned about our well-being. For a small amount, you could take care of that depending on what the principals agree with. That's one area for sure. Service certainly is, and service is the backbone of the industry. Yeah, Shrikant?
We have Anurag Srivastava who says, with social distancing being emphasized, people should go for individual options of closed spaces when traveling. That would be economic cars. Should we not look at good car sales in competitive price range in very near future?
Yeah, of course, Anurag. Certainly, that's exactly what I said. There would be a lot of car sales, and you must be prepared. And what I did all this while was to make sure that everybody is up and ready for the good times ahead. And you have just vindicated that with this question of yours. I'm saying good times are ahead. We need to be prepared. Yes, the way we transact business will change. The more we sell will go more digital. The more the inquiry generation is going to completely go digital. We have been hearing this omni-channel for last so many years. I still remember I was reading one of those things in 2017. One of the newspapers had quoted a study by a large consulting company which said 70% of car sales in 2020 would be impacted by the digital medium. Today we are talking about 90%. Okay, so COVID to me was a blessing in disguise that it enhanced the speed at which we are, and it's time. Would you like to have anything happening to you on a face-to-face? You would go digital, right? You would want to do everything at the convenience of your phones and things like that. Good times ahead. Cars people will buy. People would look at mobility. People who have one car will go for a second car, and so on and so forth. Parents would look at buying cars for their children because they wouldn't want them to use public transport. Yes, so good times are ahead, guys. My friends, prepare for it. Okay, so that's
In
what
fact, one proof for that probably that we see now is the thickness of our newspapers coming down and the ads on Facebook going up.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so that's great. Thank you. And now let's go to the next question. Murli says, what's your view on online sales or virtual sales consultant?
I was expecting this question. Because for one reason, I've been talking to a lot of people, personally calling up lots of friends, people in the automotive industry, some of my customers, asking them a very simple thing. If on a 1 to 10 scale, if you're thinking about a car was at 1 and taking delivery of the car was 10, what percentage of it would you like to take online? And what came out of that, interestingly, was everybody said two things, and I mean, it's common sense. Two things cannot be taken online, which is your test drive and your physical delivery of the car, right? Everything else can go online. Barring a few friends who said, possibly the negotiation part, we can't do online. I'd like to go online. And there is a study done by Google wherein 41% of people have said they would like to transact online. Another 41 have said that they don't mind transacting online. It's only the 16 that have said they would still want to go by the old traditional methodology. So what I'm saying is, I'm a great believer that online would happen. Now, would the sales happen online? A bit of a question, but at least the booking can go online. A lot of things can go online, and it's already happening because consumers, as I just said, 21 of the 26 touch points are online. So next is if they get a price guarantee online, I think that will also go on online, right? Between two dealerships,
exactly.
Cities that have multiple dealerships, if price price comparison goes online, if that's a frozen thing, then I think you have nearly everything online. And then finally, delivery is fine. The car comes home, because test drive, yes, you will have to happen. But then let me tell you, unless there's a complete model change or a new model in the market, test drive is not, because we are still going by what our friends have driven or our colleagues have driven. Some of we've asked them for their validation. They say, "Yaar, chala ke dekho na, mast gaadi hai. It's a fantastic car. Why don't you drive it?" You drive it, and then unless he says, "Yaar, this is an old car. It's 3 years old. The latest one has come, but you may want to go and test drive that." But let me tell you, don't give up on that. Make sure you're able to give test drives, because that is the single biggest selling tool we have in our this thing. Consumers must experience it. Okay, but digital is here to stay, and if we do not move on, we lose the race.
Exactly.
Shrikant?
Perfect. So we'll go to the last question, since we're coming to the end of the time limit also. So this question is from Shinto George. So he says, can we go ahead with the current dealer margin from OEM? Is this okay?
Very good question. And Shinto is, I think Shinto George,
probably
I believe it's from my team.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. A very good question. Guys, remember, I said 2 circles of influence. One is outside my circle of influence. One is within my circle of influence. I would first work on within my circle of influence. If there is something I can do about it and I have absolute control on it, I will do everything 100%, and then say that, look, I have done everything I can. Now, I am out of this. I do not have this within me. I need help. But if I go to someone before I do what I do, he'll say, have you done your part? I'm stuck. So what I would say is, yes, that's no end to it. But then that's a big story. It can't be decided. My this thing is, no matter, it's like a discount to customer. You give him a 50% discount, no customer is happy. He's like, can I get 52? Right?
Exactly.
Yes, we will have to take this on, which is why business managers will have to think differently. What are my cost lines? What are my revenue lines? Have I optimized every single revenue line of mine? Have I made sure that I've gone frugal on all my cost lines? If you've got an answer to all that, yes, please engage with your principals. Tell them, look, I've done all these things. I've done all these things. Still, I'm not able to make my ends meet. I need some help. That would be a better way to engage with your principals, rather than straight away going and asking for a hike in a dealer margin. Shrikant?
Yeah, thanks a lot. So team, yes, it was a very interesting session. In fact, a lot of insights from Pro Krishna Kumar, and also a lot of fantastic questions from the team, all of you. So guys, if you love the session, immediately press the like button below and do share this video on all the groups that you know and also on your timeline. Immediately. Let me see. How many shares there? Okay. So again, we come to end of the session. I know we have a lot of questions unanswered, but it's really difficult to answer all the questions in this short timeline. So we'll have to excuse Pro Krishna Kumar for that. I mean, he definitely took a lot of time for us and has come in now.
Shrikant, as a student,
answer.
Yes. Exactly. Go ahead. You take the questions, you write it down, send me a mail, and I would try and answer all the questions. I mean, that's the least I could do to all those people who are willing to learn and move ahead in life.
Sure. So to all those people who want to still get more answers to your questions, you can email your questions. Please remember, have the subject as Rev Up with AR Pro. Have the subject as Rev Up with AR Pro on the email, otherwise we might miss out your question. So have the subject as Rev Up, REVVUP with AR Pro in the subject, and you can email it to info@autoretailpro.com, info@autoretailpro.com. So mail your questions, and I will get this questions. I'll send it across to Pro Krishna Kumar, and we'll get the answers and send it back to you. So this is something that we can do. So guys, again, thanks a lot for joining in. It was wonderful to have all of you, and of course, it was great insights from Pro Krishna Kumar. Thanks a lot.
Namaskar. Thank you so much, and all the best, guys. Good times around the corner. Thank you. Thanks, Srikanth.